Hey, what's going on, guys? So I am playing a little bit of Battlefield 5, or at least I have some recorded here of Tiger gameplay, and this is sort of well, I guess not sort of, it is the main topic of today's video, and that is vehicles within Battlefield 5. Now, this was, or at least what we're going to be talking about, was a problem in Battlefield 1. And I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, well, it wasn't that bad, there were some good things about it, you could get a lot of kills, and it just, I guess I could see that, but when you look at Battlefield 5, it is just completely different. I think that most people agree that tanks in particular are just severely unbalanced. If you look at the lifespan of a tank in any game that actually tries to play the objective, they are instantly killed. There is no skill whatsoever to kill a tank in Battlefield 5. And this is what makes no sense to me. You have 1 or 2 tanks per team, and there are 32 potential tank killers per team. You won't ever see 32, I don't think, but you will see around 10, 15, maybe 20 assault players. And in Battlefield 5, one of their main gadgets is a anti-tank weapon. And it's ranged, it does a shitload of damage, it takes literally no skill to use. In fact, you'll see assault players just jump out in front of you and fire off their little rocket, then they'll poke behind cover, and then just repeat the process over and over and over again until you're dead, which doesn't take that much. So I think right now the Panzerfaust does 40 damage in one hit, and 50 if it hits the rear. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is what the damage model is. When you consider that a tank has 100 health, and a single soldier can kill a Tiger if it's hit from the rear, that's crazy to me. Because then you have 2, 3, 4, 5 soldiers per cap, if you're trying to play the objective, that will spawn, and like I said, they all just pull out their Panzerfaust and shoot you, and regardless of angling, regardless of what side they shoot you on, they'll do 30, 40 damage, and you're gonna die very quickly. And it's just, I don't understand why people feel the need to have the game this way. Like, DICE, why is this even a fucking thing? Why is it this easy? Tanks are not fun to play anymore. Because you have people who duck behind rocks. They'll duck behind buildings. They'll move sort of back and forth. They'll poke their head out for maybe a second. Maybe half a second. Shoot at you, hit you, deal a shitload of damage, and before you can get off your main cannon to kill them, or before you can kill them with a machine gun, they're already behind cover again. So basically, if you don't hit them with your main cannon, say if you're in a Tiger or a Churchill, if you don't hit them with your main cannon, they're not gonna die, right? You can kill them with a machine gun if you're just shooting them right in the face, which is, depending on where they hide, it is kind of easy to hit them with headshots. But if they're darting back and forth behind cover, it's very hard to kill them with the machine gun. And this is, like I said, we're talking about people who don't run out in the open or do anything stupid, right? So there are people out there who will just run out in the open, and they'll get shot to shit, they'll die, and what do they blame it on? Oh, tanks are OP, blah blah blah. Okay, well, the gameplay you are watching right now is my best game ever in any Battlefield game. I went 22-0, which is pretty good. And people will say, well, yeah, tanks are OP in Battlefield 5 because you didn't die, or because you got 20 kills. Oh, it's bullshit that this one soldier can get 20 kills in a tank. Boo-hoo, they're OP. That's what people say, right? But it's okay if a tryhard runs around with a M1A1, gets 50 kills, or if they run around with the Sturmgewehr 1.5, or it's okay if they have some sort of machine gun, say the Hellriegel, and go 60-10. It's okay if that happens, because why? Because it's a infantry weapon. And when you look at Westy, when you look at Jack Frags, when you look at Level Cap, and all of these so-called Battlefield YouTubers, they constantly shit on vehicles. So Jack Frags did a video. I have a feeling he was kind of sarcastic when he said it, but knowing him as far as what he has said in the past and what has happened in past Battlefield games, it's kind of one of those things where you say it sarcastically, but you really mean it. So anyways, he's playing and he's running around with throwing knives and a sniper rifle. Sure enough, he gets killed by a bomber, the Ju-88, I believe, and it's his first death after killing 10-15 people with knives and a sniper rifle. And he's like, "Dice, please," you know, it's the whole joke, "Dice, please, you know, fix this." And it's like, you were just killed one time by a bomber. So are you pissed off that it was a bomber that might be OP? Or are you pissed off that you were killed by a vehicle in the first place because you are a infantry player? You see what I'm getting at here? I don't understand their just feelings towards vehicles in Battlefield. It's like, it truly, honestly feels like they want the game to be more like Call of Duty. They want it to have little to no vehicles, or they want the vehicles to be so vulnerable that nobody uses them. Right? We are at the point right now in Battlefield 5 where a single soldier can kill a tank if they're lucky. If they hit you with their dynamite, if they hit you with both of their rockets, they will kill you. AT mines, you know, I don't have a problem with them, because that is what they're for. You kind of just lay them on the ground and you hope that a tank rolls over them. It's a passive anti-tank weapon. Whereas Panzerfausts are just, hey, oh my god, there's a tank here, let me panic knife, basically, and shoot at this tank. That's all it is. Right? Have you ever tried to cap an objective in any game mode, but I guess more specifically Conquest? You roll up into that cap circle, start capping, and you're the only player in there. Then all of a sudden you start to see that, hey man, people are spawning. And what do you know? You're hit from the left, you're hit from the right, you're hit from behind, you're hit from the top, diagonal, backwards, from another dimension, just all over the place from Panzerfaust. because it's a panic weapon. It takes no skill whatsoever. And I'm gonna say this over and over and over again until, you know, people, I guess, get it through their heads that it takes no skill. And what you will have is all of these people who are infantry only players whine and bitch and complain, well, oh, all you need to do is get good and, oh, you know, just like, wow. This is why tanks camp in the back. When they are no longer able to do what they were designed to do, that is how you create camping. Wow. You know, it's so simple. What was the tank designed for? It was designed to break through the lines during World War I, to get past enemy lines, to break trench warfare. What was the tank designed to do in World War II? Okay, its role got, you know, a little bit broader. It still was a breakthrough type of weapon. It was also an anti-tank weapon. And this leads us to our next issue. Tank on tank engagements take way too long. Okay? 4 hits, that should be good. 4 direct hits from a Tiger should kill any tank in the game. Same thing goes for the Churchill. When it gets to the Valentine, okay, maybe 5 hits, maybe 6 hits, maybe 4 hits if it's a critical area like the engine block. But as it stands right now, and maybe those are the numbers right now, tank engagements seem to take forever. And I don't know, maybe I have the numbers wrong, but, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm fine with being wrong. All I know is that tank on tank engagements take way too long. And, you know, people seem to think of, when it comes to tanks, they're like, oh man, this is so OP, I keep getting killed by this tank. And, you know, that may very well be true, but if you played better, if you hid better, maybe that wouldn't happen. But then on top of that, if tanks are OP against your team, well, guess what? Your team also has tanks, and therefore they must be OP to the other team, which means they're not really OP because they're equal. They're both OP things, according to whoever says they're OP, but both teams have them, so they are fair. So I guess you could apply that to, well, both teams have Panzerfaust, and, you know, it's fair, their tanks die really easily, your tanks die really easily, and, you know, okay, fine, sure, there's an argument there. But what about the people who play Battlefield for the vehicles? And this gets into the core of what Battlefield is. What is Battlefield? Okay, it is the shooter game that allows you to use land, air, and sea vehicles, while the majority of gameplay is infantry based. Okay, all of these aspects are supposed to have a rock, paper, scissors feel to them. However, at the moment, it just feels like assault players, the assault class, is vastly OP compared to everything else. Why is that? Is it because they want the game to be casual? Is it because, you know, I don't know. You know, I really wish, honestly, I really do wish there were servers that we could buy. And I really wish and would hope that we have tools that would allow us to create servers where certain weapons are banned. I know that people tried to do this in Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, you know, by saying, oh, if you use this lock-on weapon, you are insta-banned, and you'll never be able to find the server again. So, you know, people could do that, but I think just having it as an option makes more sense. And I know a lot of people will say, well, you know, then how do you kill tanks? Well, that is what the Pack 40s are for. There are quite a few scattered throughout maps, and I will say that they have to do more damage, right? It's an anti-tank weapon, and it feels like you have to hit a guy 5-6 times, or rather hit a tank 5 or 6 times, and that to me, like I said, it really doesn't fit. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because a tank could get hit, then back into cover, repair, pull out, kill the guy on the gun because it can take the hits, whereas the Pack 40 cannot. It's not balanced. So it feels like tanks overall are they're just so imbalanced. You know, splash damage from the main gun sucks. When it comes to the machine gun fire, it takes way too long to kill a soldier. And let's remember, a tank at any one given time can only look one direction. If you have gunners, well, okay, one gunner is exposed to the elements and can be killed quite easily, and then we have the other gunner who can only face one direction. So at one time you could have 3 different directions covered. However, there are more than 3 directions in Battlefield. You have 5 or 6 directions, and I know that's not going to make any sense, but you can be attacked from below, from above, and of course the one direction that you don't have covered. And we've already stated that it does not take skill to use a Panzerfaust. So even if you were to say, hey, here I am right in front of the 88mm gun of a Tiger, it doesn't really matter. You may get off one Panzerfaust before dying, right? Now let's say I fire the 88 and miss. Well, you're going to have plenty of time to get into cover and then make another shot. And depending on where you shot me the first time, it might just kill me. And depending on how many people are there as well, with you or around you, I might be dead before you even reload. And it's one of those things where I could sit here and talk about it forever, because in my mind, it is so simple. It is so simple. It is so easy to balance. It is a common sense thing, and yet, starting with Battlefield 1, vehicle warfare has gotten worse. Okay? Tanks do not need to be sponges against other tanks. They need to be sponges against anti-tank weapons that soldiers can wield, because you only have X amount of tanks, right, on the map at one time. You might have 2 tanks. One of those tanks might be a anti-aircraft tank. One of those tanks might be a heavy tank. One of them might be a light tank. You see where I'm going with this? So it's not like you're always going to have the best tanks on the map at one time. So you have to balance it so that all tanks are powerful in their own right, and it takes a team effort, or at least a squad effort, to kill a tank, because right now it does not take a squad effort to kill a tank. It doesn't. It takes a lone wolf and maybe one bystander to kill a tank. And, you know, I just don't get it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A lot of it was more or less me just bitching and complaining, but I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay in the background, because like I said, it is the best game that I have ever played. But on top of that, it's also the luckiest game I've ever played, because I was hit by a few amount of Panzerfaust. Usually I would have already died by now, but it turns out, you know, I guess I was either killing people too fast, or they just weren't interested in coming around to kill me. I don't know. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later.